Welcome, dear friends, to this live stream for Empty Cloud Monastery, New Jersey. I'd like to begin as usual by paying homage to our teacher, the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So welcome everyone to this live stream. Big gratitude, blessings to those who are joining live and also to those who come along to listen later to this teaching. So today I'm speaking about dana, about giving, about the benefits of giving and how we can consider this aspect of our practice. Famously, as you know, there are 3 strands to the practice spoken about in the teachings, the Dhamma teachings: dana, sila, bhavana. And dana is the first of the 3. So it has great significance, great importance for us in our practice, throughout our practice. So dana means giving, sila means virtue, and bhavana means cultivation of practice. Often the word bhavana is used to apply to meditation practice, the mental training, the attainment of insight. But this cultivation is not possible without the other 2 aspects supporting it. Actually, they come first. So sila and dana are crucial, are of great significance for us as a kind of foundation for our practice, like the ground that we stand upon as practitioners or that we sit upon as practitioners. We can't really make any progress in our mental training, in our purification of the heart, without the ground of virtuous conduct, speech and thought, and generosity of heart. So it's really crucial, important to consider generosity, consider giving, and how we can develop in this way. It's the beginning of the path. It's also the end of the path. It's throughout the path, this quality of open-heartedness, friends, open-handedness. And the benefits are for us. Of course, we give to support, to be generous, to offer something to another or a group, ideally, any kind of being whatsoever. I'll speak a little bit about the kind of gradations of giving and how we can consider these teachings of the Buddha, the benefits of giving to different kinds of people, beings, groups. But one can say that whatever we give, there's an offering to another, but the benefit of giving is far greater for the one who gives. So people who understand this are very, very thankful, grateful to being to the one to whom they're giving, to the recipient of the gift, for being there. Thank you, for receiving my gift, because in receiving the gift, you're enabling me to gain great merit, to be blessed so much more than the value of this gift. And so this understanding is present in Buddhist cultures, and often in Asian countries, people understand that it's a a great opportunity to be able to give, and so we are grateful to the recipient, and we have a humble attitude around giving, that we are not following the gift. We don't want friends to have any element of holding on when we give. We want to be giving fully. So to give fully is to let go of the gift entirely. So there's no sense of being indebted in any way, that we're owed anything, that we have any control over the destiny of that gift, how that gift is used. It's not any of our business at all. Whether the gift remains with the recipient or whether it goes elsewhere, doesn't matter. We've let go and we have no follow through. So to give in a clean way, in a full way, in a pure way, is to give without any thought for the future of that item, whatever it may be, or even that gift of time, energy, speech, whatever it may be. So there are lots and lots of teachings around giving, how to give skillfully, how to make the most of the gift that's given. So I'd like to read you a passage. I put some references, some reading suggestions in the chat for you to follow through. But for now, I'd like to read to you from, let's see now. I think I'll start with Majjhima Nikaya 142. This is called Dakina Vibhanga Sutta. And it's an exposition on giving. So it's advice from the Buddha about how to make the most of our opportunity to give. First, take the opportunity whenever we can, but then how to consider the giving of a gift and its value. So in this sutta, the Buddha's stepmother, Mahapajapati Gotami, is still a laywoman. She is a stream enterer at this point, but she's not yet ordained and joined the Bhikkhuni Sangha. And she goes to the Buddha and she offers him some cloths for him to wear. That is her idea behind the gift. She's making a gift of robes for the Buddha himself. And she goes to the Buddha to make this offering, and the Buddha says to her, wait, it's better if you make this offering to the Sangha, to the group of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, rather than to just the Buddha. And actually, Mahapajapati Gotami clearly has a sense of what she wants to happen with this gift. And so 3 times she tries to offer personally to the Buddha these robes. And 3 times he says to her, no, it's better if you make an offering to the dual Sangha with the Buddha at its head. And so she does. And then the Buddha explains why he is redirecting her energy in this way. Very compassionately, he explains to her that a gift is of far greater value if it's given to a Sangha, to a group of spiritual practitioners, in this case to the group of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. In fact, he said the greatest gift that can be given, the greatest value, the greatest merit for the donor comes through giving to the Buddha and the Sangha of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. Obviously, we don't have this kind of an opportunity, friends. We don't have the opportunity to give to a Buddha of any description, whether a teaching Buddha or a silent Buddha, a non-teaching Buddha, one who has realized Nibbana through their own efforts. We don't have such beings present at this time, but we do have the dual Sangha, a Sangha of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. This is the best place to offer a gift, the best way to offer a gift, is if we have the opportunity, to find such a group of monastics, of spiritual practitioners. Failing that, if we have simply a group of bhikkhus or a group of bhikkhunis, this is the next most valuable way to offer. Failing that, if we have a small group of 1 or 2 bhikkhus or 1 or 2 bhikkhunis, wonderful. If there are no Sangha members present in our sphere, and we are seeking to make merit by giving, which is something we should be doing constantly if we want to develop the dana aspect of our path of practice, to strengthen our practice, to add to our happiness and well-being, then we can look around. And if there's any spiritual practitioner who is intent on renunciation and path of any tradition, then a gift given to such a person is of great value. The Buddha said, a gift given to the Sangha, individually and even better, collectively, and even better, the dual Sangha of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. This gift is incalculable. Incalculable in terms of the merit that's made, the goodness that is accrued, the degree of blessing and benefit for the donor. It's incalculable. It sort of multiplies immeasurably. So this is something we should be seeking to do whenever we have the opportunity and as often as we can. It doesn't have to be an enormous gift. Any gift is a gift well given when given to such beings. The Buddha said, if we give a gift to a spiritual practitioner intent on renunciation of any tradition whatsoever, anyone we perceive to be a good spiritual seeking, practicing being, if we give a gift to such a person, it is multiplied 100,000 times, I think it is. Huge, huge benefit. I'll see if I can check the number. If we give, yes, to one who's free from desire, who is not a Buddha's disciple, this multiplies 100,000-fold the gift. If we give to a good person, a person who is living a wholesome life, and a person who's not practicing for liberation, but someone who lives a wholesome life and is someone that we can see to be a good-hearted person, such a gift, friends, multiplies in value for the donor by 10,000 times, according to the Buddha. If we give a gift to a person who's immoral, who is of bad character, someone for themselves and others, more often than not, even such a gift to such a person is multiplied 1,000 times in its value for the donor. So for every gift given, one receives back, 1,000 times the blessings, the benefits, the happiness, the well-being, the goodness. A gift given to an animal multiplies by 100 times. When we give our dog food, our cat, when we feed our animal, look after our animals that we love and cherish, our pets, our companions, think of that, how valuable it is to bestow gifts upon an animal. 100 times this goodness comes back to us. And so, friends, this can seem very mathematical and it can seem very almost kind of self-centered. We're not actually giving to gain. We're not giving in order to get. That detracts from the value of the gift. So we need to be very conscious of that as we take in this teaching from Dakina Vibhanga Sutta. It is a helpful teaching. It's really giving us an idea of a kind of purity of the gift and the giver. And we can consider that. But we can take from this sutta that to give a gift is always going to be of huge benefit to us. It's really interesting to consider how we give something away, and sometimes we might even feel, if we're wise and we give things of value away, we might even feel the pinch or the friction or the sense of painfulness around the loss of that thing. Let's remember then this teaching from Dakhinovibhanga Sutta that whatever we give, we're actually gaining enormously. The more we give, the better. All is not given is lost. To give is to get. Not that we're focused on the getting, but we can simply know that that is the way, that is the karma. I think it's Chula Kamma, in Majjhima, I think it's 135, the shorter discourse on action, karma, the results of giving in this sutta, all about action and its results. The Buddha says when we give a gift, we're actually moving in a sort of upward direction. We're moving towards a favorable rebirth. We're moving towards a brighter future. And part of that, at the particular aspect of benefit, is that there will be an experience of abundance, an experience of wealth, an experience of plenty. And so this is the result of giving in non-mathematical terms. Huge gain in well-being that results from any kind of gift given. Knowing this, understanding these teachings, really taking them in, when would we not want to be giving, friends? Can we make our life a gift? For the lay friends, all of you, we have wealth to give. We have material goods, food, things, useful things to give. When would we not want to be giving? Only hold on to what's needed for basic well-being, basic health. To have a roof over the head, to have enough to wear, enough to eat, medicines when sick. We can consider, if we're seriously practicing, how much more do we need? How much can we share? Knowing that the giving is of enormous benefit for us. So as much as possible, but not just material things. Let's consider how much we can give of our time to others, how much we can give of our energy, how much can we give of our goodwill. What I notice with goodwill is that the more we give of kindness, the more we share our happiness with others, the more we bestow on others generous gifts of kind words, kind attention. Think of them with kindness. Consciously bring to mind others and wish them well. How much generosity is there? How much giving is there? How much opportunity is there? Because these possibilities are always present for us. And if we're feeling depleted, like we don't have anything to give, we need to receive more than to give. If we're feeling in that way, nothing wrong. We can just be aware that this is a time to give to oneself, this suffering being who's feeling the lack. Can we give kindness to this one? Can we develop loving kindness towards this one? Can we make that our gift of the moment? So my teacher, Lumpur Ganha, in Thailand, says really the same thing over and over in terms of his Dharma transmission. He invites all of his disciples to selflessly give. He speaks of siyasala, selfless sacrifice. Sacrifice. To sacrifice, to give up, to give away all our elements of, aspects of, experiences of selfishness. So when we feel this lack, when we feel we have nothing to give, we can be very sure that that is not the case. That is a momentary thought. That is a delusion. We always have something to give, and we can turn our attention towards the giving, towards selfless service, and just see how energizing, how empowering, how beneficial that is for us, how it lifts us, how it brings joy and happiness right here and now for us. And we realize, oh my goodness, this practice of dana is the way. And so it's very interesting to me that my teacher, Luang Por Ganha, focuses on this aspect of the path, on dana, on service. Actually, in giving, we are practicing virtue. When we have a heart that inclines towards giving, we're cultivating virtue and we're cultivating bhavana, because we're giving ourselves the conditions that enable us to do the investigation here, to root out the defilements, to have the courage and the strength and the well-being to be able to practice for liberation. And so there's really every encouragement in the Buddha's teachings, also the teachings of masters such as Luang Por Ganha, to keep cultivating generosity, to make it important, to be ready to open-handedly, open-heartedly give. I'd like to read you Anguttara Nikaya 535, beautiful short teaching from the Buddha with some more advice for us around dana. The Buddha says here, there are 5 kinds of giving. What 5? Excuse me, friends. There are 5 benefits of giving. What 5? The Buddha said, a giver, a donor, is dear and beloved by many people. We make ourselves safe, we make ourselves lovable through our generosity. Isn't it the case, friends, when I see someone making offerings to the Sangha, there's such a feeling of joy and uplift, not just for the person who's giving, but for all those around that person. That person becomes someone who we cherish, we love, we appreciate. We see their goodness through their giving. Secondly, good and true persons will associate with one who gives. So like attracts like, as we know. And when we're practicing generosity, we will attract generous others, friendly others, those who are noble beings, who are practicing for liberation, will be drawn to us as we are drawn to them. Thirdly, we get a good reputation through giving. Of course, others think highly of those who give. Unless they're very confused or deluded, it's obvious, isn't it, that a person who's generous is someone who we respect. We look up to such a person. We appreciate them. We regard them highly. Fourthly, we do not neglect a layperson's duties when we are giving. I think this is an interesting one. We don't neglect a layperson's duties, or in the Pali, it's a householder's duties. The work of a householder is not neglected. We won't neglect to take care of the things that need taking care of when we're generous. When we're generous, we're looking around. We're not just the giver of gifts, but we look around at our lives and we see with a generous heart what needs to be done. So we take good care of ourselves, friends. We can take care of our household, keep it clean, keep it livable, keep it comfortable. We take care of our security, make sure we're safe. We take care of our nourishment, look after the body and keep it healthy by eating wholesome food. This generosity of heart is something that extends, to aspects of our lives in so many different ways. And so with a generous giving nature, we're going to be making sure that this one's okay, looking after ourselves, looking after our families, looking after our colleagues, looking after all those around us. So the householder's duties, all the duties and responsibilities are also taken care of. I would say also for the monastics, the same applies. We have a generous heart. We're seeking to serve selflessly. We're seeking to give. We'll be looking around and seeing, what can I do now? How can I support now the living space, the valuable requisites we've been given, the medicines, the fellow samanas? How can I support generously in this moment? And when, friends, we go to visit the monastery, go and stay at the monastery as a guest or visit the monastery for a day, let's go to the monastery with that open heart, as I know so many of you do, seeking to serve. How can I be generous here today? What might need doing? How can I support the Sangha? How can I support the monastery? How do I get to look after the monastery buildings, inside and outside? How do I get to look after the grounds of the monastery? So many opportunities. And when we have a heart of generosity, we can often feel a sense of being guided. It's like we can see what needs to be done. And we also can have the confidence to just go ahead and do it, not to feel shy, to do good, to take initiative, to find ways to support the community. This is so beautiful. And one thing I can say about monastic life, just like household life, I'm sure, is that there's always more to be done. There's always more that can be given. There's always more energy that we can put out there to serve and support. So it takes skill and wisdom to gauge this energy, to have the generosity here, to be able to know what is fruitful in this moment, how much can be given, where the energy needs to go. Does the generosity need to go out? If we're fortunate, we have good health, good energy, we have strength and fitness, and we can put the energy out and find ways to generously give the community. If we're feeling, on the other hand, depleted, then the generosity can turn inward and find the ways in which to nourish and regenerate and recharge this generous giver here, so that the generosity can continue to flow. Whether it flows this way or that way, it doesn't really matter, but the heart of generosity will see the way. We'll be guided, as to how we can best serve at this moment. And the fifth of these 5 benefits of giving in this sutta is, the Buddha said, when the body breaks up after death, one is reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. So just as was mentioned in Dakkhana Vibhanga Sutta, this upshot of giving, it's not just in the moment that we feel the benefit, which we surely do, if we're conscious of the benefit, if we're mindfully giving, In the moment we feel great happiness, we feel joy, we feel uplift, we feel peace. We've let go of that thing, that something, whether it's time or energy or a material thing. So many benefits in the moment, but also the result, as we've learned in Dakanoe Banga Sutta, is a multiplication of blessings, of goodness, of ease, of well-being. And in the future, rebirth. So when this life comes to an end, we can be sure, that we've been setting the conditions in such a way that there will be a good outcome, there will be a good destination. Who knows, what happens here after death. If we're very fortunate, friends, we've let go completely, and then we don't have to experience rebirth. But if there is rebirth, then we've set the conditions for a wholesome, a bright, a heavenly or a human rebirth, if we're consistently practicing generosity in our lives. And as I said, we don't have to have very much to give. If we have poverty, if we're experiencing very difficult conditions in this lifetime, well, we can completely change that around through the practice of dana by giving whatever we have, however insignificant it may feel. Of course, the gift of a poor person, whatever small gift they're able to part with, has such an enormous blessing, grace for that person, because it's not easy to part with material things when one is experiencing poverty. What a great boon when that is done. And actually, so often I notice as an alms mendicant going out on alms, it's often very striking that when one goes on alms in poor countries, poor places where people don't have very much materially, these are the places where the gifts are very generously given. That's interesting to appreciate, isn't it? It's easier perhaps for people who don't have very much to recognize the benefit of sharing what they do have, because that is often their lifestyle. When we get wealthy, when we get privileged, we can put ourselves in castles, fortresses, citadels, and live very luxurious lives, and get very attached to all of those comforts and privileges. And it can become very difficult for wealthy people to let go. And that is just something to consider. So let's, however wealthy or however poor we are, let's remember dana and just give what we can. Give mindfully, give consciously. There's a sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, Majjhima 110. It's called Chula Punama Sutta, the shorter discourse on the full moon night. I'm just going to quote you a small passage from this sutta, where the Buddha speaks about a true person and an untrue person. This whole sutta is about how to be a true person, how not to be an untrue person. And one of the aspects the Buddha speaks about here for the true person is that such a person will give gifts. And the way a true person gives gifts is like this. A true person gives a gift carefully, with their own hand, from themselves to the other, and thoughtfully, consciously, mindfully. They do not give the dregs, and they give with consideration for consequences. They do not give what they're already thinking of throwing away or discarding what they don't value anymore. That is a kind of gift that sometimes we may find ourselves inclined to give away something that just because we don't want it anymore. That is a gift, but it's not a very valuable gift. If we want to give well, friends, then we want to give that which is valuable, that which is something we also feel the value of, we also would cherish, we also would be able to make use of, we also would enjoy for our health or for our physical well-being. So to give a gift of value in this way, something we ourselves value, not something that we would want to discard. To give with a mind to the consequences. So this really speaks to me of giving of value, giving that of value, but also to give knowing the consequences, as we do when we take in these Dharma teachings from the Buddha, to appreciate the consequences. When we appreciate the consequences of our giving, how mindfully we want to give, how much we want to be present for the gift, for the act of giving, to be really present for that, to be giving the best we can, to be wholly giving, to be giving with no thought for the future, no thought for gain, no thought for controlling the destiny of that gift. To give fully, hands open, heart open, mindfully. And in this way, friends, we reap the benefits of that gift. It is a very wholesome practice when at the end of life, imagine, we know we're coming to the end of our life. What do? We may be lying down, feeling very unwell, possibly, feeling very agitated, possibly. We may be unaware that our time is coming. But if we have the opportunity to be aware, if we're in sickness or old age, coming up to the end of life, how valuably we can spend our time considering past gifts given. So this is something the Buddha encouraged for us to contemplate the virtue here, contemplate the dana that has been given, contemplate the goodness of our lives and make much of that. So this is very interesting to recognize that we can enjoy the benefits of our good actions. We can recollect them, we can make much of them. And in this way, when we come to the end of life, or we're in a situation of great suffering, sickness, where the mind may incline towards negativity or confusion or doubt, we can incline our minds towards recollection of dana given, recollection of sila, of our virtue, and allow the mind to peacefully rest in these contemplations. We can also encourage others who we know to consider their goodness and to remember all the generous acts that they've done when they're struggling, when they're depleted, when they're even facing death, old age, sickness and death, friends. This is a great way in which we can support those we know who are in this situation, and a great way in which we can support ourselves at such times. So to be aware of the consequences of giving, to rejoice in that, to give as much as we can while we can, and to know that in the future we can rest in that goodness. We can take comfort from that goodness that has been done, and we can allow the mind to be at peace, to be settled, so that we can continue to practice right up until the end of this conscious experience. So I'd like to also share with you another short sutta from Anguttara Book of Fives also. In fact, it is the next sutta, Anguttara 536. Again, for us to contemplate the Buddha's teachings on giving. The Buddha here says, there are 5 timely gifts. These 5 are a gift to a visitor, a gift to someone setting out on a journey, a gift to someone who is sick, a gift at a time of famine, and the presenting of freshly harvested grains and fruits to those who are ethical. So this is a very interesting list, just to consider for a few moments. To give a gift to a visitor or someone setting out on a journey, or to someone who's sick, is to give a gift at a good time. This is a good time to make an offering. So we can also consider this is a good contemplation to seek out such people, to have visitors, to give the gift of hospitality, to make our homes open for others, to welcome others, and to give freely to our guests. I'm very struck again in Asian cultures. It's very, and also African culture, it's very amazing how highly regarded the guest is. In the Benedictine monasteries, in the Christian tradition, they hold the guest, the visitor, as if that person were Jesus Christ himself coming to the monastery, coming to the community. And they treat their visitors and guests accordingly. It is quite remarkable to be at the receiving end of such hospitality. It is very heart-opening, it is very humbling, and it is very encouraging on the path of practice. So this is an interesting teaching here from the Buddha, to remember to treat our visitors, our guests, those going out on a journey, those who are sick, to be moving towards them with a heart of generosity. What can I give? How can I serve such a person? This is a great opportunity for me to have guests, to seek out those who are going out on a journey with all the dangers and unknowns that a journey entails, to give them gifts, give gifts to monks and nuns going on Tudong. That is something I endeavour to do whenever I can, because I know the value of such a gift. To give a gift to those who are sick, to not turn away, but rather flock towards those who are sick. How can I help? What can I do to offer some comfort, some support to such a person? Because such a gift is of great value. To give a gift in famine. When we hear about famines in different parts of the world, what an opportunity we have. Can we give anything? How much can we give? How often can we give? This is a gift well given. And presenting the best, the freshly harvested grains and fruits, the best of gifts, food to those who are noble. Such a gift is a gift very well given. The Buddha goes on here to say, the wise give at the right time. They are bountiful and rid of stinginess. They give donations at the right time to noble ones when they can, sincere and unaffected. They give with a clear and confident mind. Such a gift is indeed abundant when we give in this way. Anyone who rejoices at a generous gift given by another, so when we witness generous giving, mindful giving, any kind of giving, when we rejoice at that, or do other services, give ourselves in different ways, we do not miss out on those offerings. So we can appreciate that when we're in the company of generous people and rejoicing at their generosity, that's also a great benefit for us and inspires us often to step up, and increase our own generous outpouring of energy. The Buddha said, so you should give without holding back. The good deeds of sentient beings support them in the next world. Ayya. So thank you, friends, for your patient listening. It's beautiful to share some of these teachings with you. Teachings on giving, on generosity, as a practice, as a way of life, as a crucial foundation for our practice for liberation. And let's not forget how much generosity, how much giving enables us to let go. How do we let go? We're so inclined towards holding to this one, this sense of self, this sense of then what one has, what one needs, what one wants. There's so much this inclination in all of us through ignorance, to hold on to things, to thoughts, to concepts, to perceptions, to energy as me and mine to be taken care of here. And if we can turn our attention towards giving, it's almost like a reversing of that energy, that energetic flow of ignorance to making self and me making, mine making, self and other, self and possessions, self and what self needs. If we can turn that stream of energy outwards and be casting our gaze around and looking to see where we can put out our energy for supporting, serving, and giving, then we are going against the stream of holding and craving and clinging, and we're letting go. It helps us so much to let go, to consciously let go, to consciously give away our energy, give away our time, give away our kindness, give away our loving, give away our things as much as we can, because all that we don't give out, we hold to, and all that we hold to, we will lose. And when we lose it, we will suffer. So to circumvent that suffering, to let go of that suffering, is to let go of all that we're holding to, is to turn our attention towards giving it out, is to be able to freely let go, be free, free up. Nothing is worth holding to. All is to be given. And we can consider how this can manifest for us in our lives evermore, moment by moment, dear friends. So thank you for your kind listening. And I really will stop here and have a look at the chat. And really wonderful to see your names, dear friends. Thank you for being here for the live stream. Greetings to you all, respect to you all from all over the world. And thank you for your comment, Luna. I have a question here from Rebecca. I'm going to have to be fairly brief with my answers, but that is good practice. So Rebecca says, when practicing dana in householders' life, it's often confused with female conditioned caretaking. Advice on disentangling. Thank you, Rebecca. That is such an important point. Really appreciate it. Women, are often conditioned to be caring, to be nurturing, to be generous, to put others' needs before their own. This is beautiful, mostly, because it's such a gift for us to have this kind of training. Mostly, not entirely, necessarily, just because we can tend to forget this one. So in our loving, caring, generous natures, if we have the benefit, the blessing of having this kind of conditioning, we just simply need to remember that we live with this one, and this one is also worthy of care, worthy of attention. There can be a tinge in this kind of conditioning of self-neglect, and in that self-neglect can be self-harm. This is unwholesome. This is not of benefit. And so we want to always actually, particularly if we have this kind of conditioning, to be noticing, how is it here? Through our meditation practice, we get to be more and more fully in touch with this one, and just to gauge, how is this one? How is the energy? How is the sense of well-being? Is there a sense of self-criticism? Is there negativity towards this one? Is there a lack of energy? Is there a feeling of depletion here? And this is our priority, to address the need, the requirement here, and offer to ourselves the endless abundance of well-being that we have when we simply tap into it, friends. When we pay attention here, we recognize that we have enormous resources, but they're not always apparent to us if we're caught up in a sense of depletion, a sense of negativity in any way. So to bring up the loving kindness that we have and to offer it here, to bring up compassion and offer it here, to blast away, any negativity towards this one, any criticism or guilt or, unwholesome attitudes that we might have, to let them dissolve in a field of compassion and care. And the more we offer compassion and care to this one, then we get filled with that sense of well-being, and we again can turn our attention outwardly. So it's really, very important point that for especially perhaps women in certain cultures, if not all cultures, the conditioning can veer towards self-neglect. And that is really important to address, to cherish this one, friends, because this is the mind and body that we have 24/7. This is our vehicle for liberation. This is our temple here. And we so need to keep it clean, sweep it out, take care of it. And then we can let it go and turn our attention to others. But actually, that's not really quite accurate, because even as we're serving outwardly, seeking ways in which to be generous and to give, there's always a need for us to have attention here too. Be mindful here too, so that the two are not two. The external, the internal, self and other, it all comes together, and the generous flow is for all of that. Thank you, Rebecca. I'll just throw in that if we don't have the conditioning to be generous, selfless carers, compassionately looking out for others, then we need to cultivate those qualities. It's really important. If we've been conditioned to be self-centered, self-serving, to not really see where others might benefit from some support and generosity, we really need to open our eyes and to look around and to find ways to cultivate generosity and to keep doing that, because this way is the only way for us to develop our practice. Thanks so much, Rebecca. And We have a question here. This is wonderful. Just to conclude, I think, from Jay. Thank you, Jay. How do we give when we're burnt out or exhausted? I know I should give more, but I'm always feeling depleted physically and emotionally. Yeah, it kind of touches into Rebecca's point, I think, doesn't it, Jay? That there are times when we may have neglected this one and overextended ourselves energetically in one way or another. And then the burnout, the depletion. I've noticed myself in monasteries that just as in household life, there's always more that could be done, that maybe we feel should be done. There's always more that to do, to give, to offer. And the real skill, the wisdom, is to recognize how much we can offer and how much we then need to take time to rest, literally just to rest and relax and to resource ourselves. And also time for our practice, meditation practice. We can forget sometimes. It's so busy, there's so much to do, there's so much good to be done. I haven't got time to meditate, is a very foolish approach to practice. There needs to be a balance here between dana, sila, and bhavana. These three aspects, giving, virtue, and cultivation of practice, they're like a balance, like a tripod that needs to, all three legs need to balance out, to be of the same height, to have the same energy given to these three aspects of our practice. And so there's always opportunities to give. The beauty of it is that sometimes the giving is in giving this one the time to meditate. Meditation is the greatest gift of all, friends. If we can develop our practice, this is the greatest gift we can give. It's of far more value than any material thing. And so to give generously, of course, includes, and it's of great importance to give to this one the time to practice, the Dharma teachings, meditation time to rest and resource. This is generous giving in action. I would say that quite possibly there's never a moment when generous giving is not happening. It's just how it happens. It can happen in terms of developing the practice. It can happen in terms of studying Dharma. It can happen in terms of taking care of our bodies, nourishing them, resting them, being kind to them. It can manifest in terms of being kind and generous to this mind, practicing loving kindness, practicing compassion for this experience here. And it can manifest whenever possible in outward acts of giving of time, giving of space, giving of energy, giving of kindness, giving of compassion, giving of material things. So we just need to be able to have the wisdom to figure what giving can happen right now. What is the gift of this moment? But let's not have a moment when a gift is not being given. Thank you, friends, for your kind listening, for your beautiful questions and comments, for all the generosity of this gathering. I won't be around next week, but I look forward to the opportunity to give Dhamma teachings again in a couple of weeks' time. Bye for now. Let's end with 3 generous gifts of sadhus. Sadhu, 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 anumodami.